John Colo at DiscountJuicers.com to do another exciting episode for you, and this is one that many of you guys may have been searching for or waiting for me to come out with, because, man, Kuvings has announced this machine at least 2 years ago now, and finally they are now releasing it into the United States, and I'm happy to say that DiscountJuicers.com is the first retailer in the United States to start offering this machine to you. So it is available on our website now. Be sure to click the link down below in the description, also in the comment section for more information or to get pricing or to purchase this very machine you guys are seeing here today. The next thing I want to say is that if you guys enjoy my educational videos that I make for you guys, I have over 400 videos on this YouTube channel dedicated to teach you guys all aspects about juicers, blenders, and dehydrators, appliances that allow you to eat more fresh fruits and vegetables. Please be sure to support me in my work, and you could do that by making your purchase at DiscountJuicers.com. This allows me to continue making my educational videos to educate you guys and to tell you guys the truth about all the different products. You know, I'm not employed by any of the manufacturers. While they do send me some demonstration sample machines for evaluation, testing, and to provide them feedback so that they could make their machines better, I have no connections with them, and I'm my own person. So what I say, sometimes the companies like, if I say something's good, sometimes they don't like things so much that I say, because I'm just telling my honest truth, my opinions, and hopefully they'll use my opinions to make their product even better, you know, the next time around. So I'm not able to do this if you guys don't support me, so make your purchase at DiscountJuicers.com. That goes a long way to, you know, ensure that I'm going to continue to make these videos. If people don't support me and people buy juicers from other places, I will no longer be able to make these videos, and I hope that these videos have helped you concrete and solidify your juicer purchase so you know the right juicer to pick, because virtually there's nobody else out there that goes into the depth or the, you know, the width or depth of you know, topics testing juicers that I do. So I like to say that I'm like the #1 juicer expert in the entire world. So I want to thank you guys, for those of you guys that will purchase from me so I can continue this work, and I want to thank you guys who have already purchased from me in the past that support me so I can continue this. In any case, the matter at hand today is the Kuvings Whole Slow Juicer Chef model CS600. Now this is a commercial grade juicer. Now that's different than a commercial juicer. This is a commercial grade juicer. So what that means specifically is that this machine was built from the ground up to be commercial grade and used in commercial establishments. A matter of fact, it's already being used in Europe and other places around the world in commercial establishments very successfully, you know, with long operating hours and duty cycles. That being said, in the United States, certain states have specific laws, and certain states may have laws that say to use a commercial grade juicer in a restaurant, juice bar, or other commercial establishment, the appliance needs to meet certain sanitation guidelines, such as the NSF certification. An equivalent certification is the ETL sanitation certification. So I know the state of California will require this for a commercial appliance. Sometimes the inspector, depending on the county you live in, may not be asking for this, so you may get away with buying a non-certified machine. You know, some places in the country might not even care and do inspections. But the Kuvings CS600 is not NSF or ETL sanitation certified. So please be aware of that and check with your health department before buying this machine to make sure that you could use it legally. You know, some places don't even check and they don't even care. That being said, I do know people that use home juicers in a commercial establishment, and I would not recommend that. #1, the main thing, the difference between a commercial model, like we'll be talking about today, and a home unit is, you know, a lot of the parts are kind of similar, but the main difference is the motor quality, the motor power, the motor torque, and how long of a duty cycle the machine has. So most household slow juicers have a short duty cycle of only 30 minutes. What's the duty cycle? Well, that means you're only supposed to run the juicer 30 minutes continuously. You can make as much juice as you can in that time. Hopefully you don't clog the machine up. And then you have to shut the machine off, let it rest 15 minutes, half hour, let it cool down before you can continue to operate and make more juice. And that's because these are home machines. Also, home machines are not warranted for commercial use. So if you use a home machine for commercial use, you will nullify your warranty and the manufacturers will not cover any warranty. That being said, this machine is designed as a commercial grade. It's not NSF ETL sanitation, as I said, but this machine, unlike a household machine that you can only run for 30 minutes straight, this blew me away when I heard this. You could run this juicer 24 hours straight. Now, the problem with that is, can you stay up 24 hours straight to juice in this? And the other thing is, is your juice bar even open 24 hours straight? But that in itself is amazing. This probably has the most durable commercial brushless 200-watt motor that's actually even built by Kuvings. I had the opportunity to visit the Kuvings factory many years ago, and I saw them in their facility actually winding and spinning up the copper wires to actually make their motors on site. So definitely this is one high power but also high torque, and also probably the most durable motor in any slow juicer that could literally run for 24 hours. So this video is for people that have some kind of commercial establishment, maybe a farm, you have tons of apple trees, you have an orange orchard, you want to juice lots and high volumes of food, maybe you have a family of 16 and you got to juice a lot of juice. That being said, I don't know that I'd necessarily recommend this machine for somebody in their home. Just because it's commercial doesn't automatically mean, oh, it's the best, right? As you guys learn in my videos, each juicer has their own sets of pros and cons. Hopefully in upcoming episodes I'll be comparing the whole slow juicer Chef versus the standard, whole slow juicer Elite and other brands and models of juicers, so you guys can see the pros and cons of each one. Because basically this machine is over 3 times the amount of the Kuvings whole slow juicer Elite, and frankly, this has very similar parts. The only thing that sets us apart is that it's commercial use, so the base is even more durable, the motor base, and also when you buy the Kuvings whole slow juicer Chef CS600 from discount juicers, you not only get the juicer with the motor base, you actually get an extra top set. So this is almost like getting 2 juicers in one, but not really, because you're not getting the motor, but you're getting the whole top set. And as you guys will learn in this episode, right, there's certain practices and things, guidelines you need to follow when using this machine that's very important. Much like any other vertical slow juice on the market, this juicer can jam and clog, right? That can be a big challenge with vertical slow juicers, and the main reason why that happens, in my opinion, is because of people don't know how to use the machine properly. So if you're like a one-man show, you own your own juice bar, you make all the juice, you're not going to have any problems. But the challenge is if you have a restaurant and you're the owner and you have a lot of people working for you, especially maybe minimum wage people that don't tend to follow instructions or aren't quite as on it, right? You may have challenges with this machine, and your feedback from your employees may say, employees say, oh, that machine's a junk. Well, maybe because they're not using it right. So important, in this video, what I'm going to go over is I'm going to do, number 1, the unboxing. Number 2, we're going to go over all the different parts, how to assemble it, disassemble it. Number 3, we're going to go over, the specific use guidelines that you must follow to be successful when using this machine. And then finally, we're going to go ahead and get into a sample juicing session. And I'm going to share with you guys my opinions on what I think using this machine for the very first time. So yeah, very important to follow the guidelines properly for the best results. So yeah, once again, you get the main motor body with the whole housing, and then you get a whole extra housing. So before I get into the actual unboxing, what I want to do is actually go over with you guys some of the features that are actually listed on the box here that are important. So this is the Kuvings Whole Slow Juicer Chef model CS600. The model number may be different in different countries, so be aware of that. I am talking specifically about the model being released here in the United States of America. And this is the world's premium whole slow juicer Chef for intensive use. And it's a 3.5 inch or 88 millimeter feed chute. It says extra wide feed chute to accept whole fruits and leafy greens without chopping. 24 hours of continuous use. Kuvings powerful motor enables to extract juice up to 24 hours continuous. That's impressive. Let's go ahead and see what's on this side here. It says a feeding tube, extra wide feeding tube to accept whole fruits and leafy greens without cutting. Juice screw, low speed crush and squeeze juicing screw makes a greatest amount of healthy and fresh juice. Smart cap, stop dripping, easy blending, quick rinsing. Over here it says dual safety system. The magnetic safety sensor requires proper assembly for operation. This is very important for safety use. Juicing bowl, easy, clean, BPA-free Triton bowl. So this machine is classified as a BPA-free juicer. Also, it has a heavy-duty motor, 24 hours continuous juicing. So that is the main box right here. And then over on the side of this box here, this is the extra top set here. And you basically have a feeding tube, juicing screw, juicing screen or the strainer, rotational wiper or wiping blade, and the juicing bowl. So easiest one to open up first is this guy right here. Let's go ahead and get this guy out. So this is the extra top set you will be getting, and as I said, you know, this top set is to be used only for 20 minutes continuously, and then you need to swap them out, or if you juice 2 quarts of juice, whichever comes first. Next, let's go ahead and open up this big box here. And I want to say this is a nice, really nice packaging on the Kuvings Whole Slow Juicer Elite. Many different parts, including that top part with the feed chute here, 3.5-inch feed chute. Let's go ahead and get this motor base out. Kind of heavy. Ugh. All right, this motor base, super nice here. Stainless steel lined on the bottom. Lots of holes for good ventilation. Let's see. Next, we got coming out the auger. Heavy duty Altum auger, 8 times harder plastic than what was on previous slow juicers. Next, we got the oversized collection cups, BPA free, along with a pusher. Then we got a couple cleaning brushes, so you get the standard Kuvings trademarked cleaning brush for the screen. You got a standard cleaning brush here. You got an instruction manual and recipe booklet. And you got the oversized toothbrush cleaning brush. And I will be showing you guys how to use all these different cleaning brushes and tools after I'm done juicing. And that looks like it for this box, so let's go ahead and get that out of the way for you guys. And let's go over each of these parts one by one to show you guys what you get and actually how to use and assemble the machine. Alright, so first off, we got the juicer right here. And this is a juicer base, nice and heavy duty. You know, I think this looks a lot nicer than their home models. I mean, it is stainless steel lined. Also has, you know, a lot more ventilation holes than their standard units here. Also, on the top of this, it is actually a little bit recessed in case there is any, you know, spillage or droppage of juice. It's going to just basically come out the front. That being said, this is the second generation design that actually I haven't seen leak yet. Let's take a look at the bottom of the motor housing here. It just says quality control passed. I don't see any motor rating, but I believe this motor is 200 watts, and this is a nice heavy-duty brushless motor. Okay, so to assemble this machine, there's a few parts. This is the juicing bowl. This is where all the juicing occurs, and so there's a few parts on this. Number one, unlike many vertical slow juicers, there's actually no silicone flap they have to deal with. You know, that part can break, wear out over time. You have to get it replaced. It can get moldy. There's none of that stuff on the Kuvings Whole Slow Juicer Chef you have to worry about. In addition, you have the spout where all the juice comes out, and this is Kuvings' patented smart cap. So what this allows you to do, this little cap that you could actually plug in or pull out, it allows you to basically mix juices inside the juicer. Now, I personally don't recommend that because based on my testing, when you do mixing inside the juicer, the juice that you're creating is literally, and all the pulp that's going through the machine is literally sitting in a wet liquid. Thereby, some of the pulp coming out tends to be a little bit wetter, which means that's going to consequently lower your yields. So I do recommend leaving this open and letting all the juice come out and then mixing it inside the container. The other thing you guys can do that I find this useful for is actually when you're done juicing, put that down so you don't get drips on your counter. The other thing that I find this really useful for is for the auto cleaning feature that I'll be demonstrating at the end of this episode. And then also, unlike many other machines, this has actually a built-in gearing system. So when the motor is spinning, it spins this little white gear in here that basically spins the automatic wiping blade. So yeah, put that on, just basically sets on top, really simple, real easy. Next we have the juicing wiping blade right here. And although it looks like there's 4 positions on this, there's really only 2 wiping blades. The other 2 are basically hard plastic. So the purpose of this unit is it basically goes over the juicing screen right here, and as the machine is running, this wiping blade, the silicone blades, are spinning around, and that's basically like windshield wipers for your car. So it literally wipes down the screen to make sure you're going to get the maximum juice out, and the screen doesn't clog it excessively with any kind of pulp. And then of course we have the Ultim juicing screen here, and this actually has a fairly fine holes on it. So that means they're going to be minimal pulp in the juice. And unlike many other vertical juicers on the market, I think Kuvings is the only brand to have this. And after all, Kuvings is the patent owner on the wide feed chute style machines. And if you see other wide feed chute style machines, the chances are they are infringing on Kuvings' patent unless that product was licensed by Kuvings. And there's a few companies that are licensing Kuvings. Omega has one that's licensed, I think, over in Europe. The Santa has one or something. But anyways, on the bottom of this, it's not an open screen like many of them. It basically has a silicone gasket in here. And what that gasket does is when you put the auger in there, the motor shaft goes to the bottom. So basically, this does not allow juice drips to come out the bottom of the motor shaft. This can be a challenge with other vertical single auger machines, but on the Kuvings, that I haven't seen that to be the case yet because of this special design. The other thing that this does is that means all the grinding goes on inside this juicing screen, and so that will reduce the amount of pulp that's created. You know, juicers that have an open bottom in most, but not all cases, tend to make more pulp in the juice. So all the grinding goes in there. Also, this makes cleaning easier. So a lot of bowls, when you're done, you know, has a lot of extra pulp fiber, and you got to like dig through there and get the pulp out. This bowl is one of the cleanest because literally all the pulp stays inside the screen. So you can just take this to the sink and like wash it out. So yeah, that's how that works. And this is the Ultim plastic, so 8 times harder. So once again, to assemble this, you take the wiping blade, put that right on the screen. There's a little red dot on the screen there, if you guys could see, and there's a little red dot on the top of this housing. And you just want to make sure that those are lined up, and you drop that baby in, and it's going to basically sink down in there. Next, you got the oversized juicing screw. This is probably the largest juicing screw that I've seen on any vertical slow juicer. Also, be aware that there's a recess on the bottom of this auger, and I like that a lot. It's actually quite big. I could actually even get my pointer finger in there to clean this out. You want to make sure that this is clean after every use. Don't ever leave pulp to collect in there. You know, this is kind of like used as a strain relief, right? The pulp is supposed to only flow out the pulp ejection port, but sometimes there's a lot of pulp buildup on the bottom, and instead of actually jacking the auger up and then making the machine hard to take apart, this is especially true if you don't properly prepare your produce and you feed it too fast and all this kind of stuff, which I'll go over in a little bit. The pulp basically goes up underneath here, so it acts as a recess, so that it actually doesn't happen as quickly. And also, I do like that the bottom of this auger is actually lined with stainless steel to make it a little more solid and help do some grinding. Let's see. So yeah, this just inserts in there, and you put it in there fully, and you got to make sure that it fully seats down in the machine. Otherwise, the machine will not assemble properly. Then finally, you have the top here. Now this, up to this point, you know, a lot of these parts are similar, pretty similar, but not exact, to the Kuvings Whole Slow Juicer C7000, which is their elite model. That's their home model. You know, all the parts are very similar. These parts are probably oversized compared to those ones, but pretty much they're the same. The part that is different, though, is this top feed chute housing on the Kuvings Whole Slow Juicer Elite. It basically has a 3-inch wide feed chute that basically has like a safety gear in there that, or a interlock thing that you need to push the apple through. With this one, you basically just drop the apple in. There's no pushing because it'll just drop in. The other thing I noticed about this, aside from this drop-in method, 3.5-inch size, there's a smaller feed chute size in the back that is equivalent to most feed chutes on other vertical slow juicers without the wide feed chute. And then the other thing I'm noticing is that unlike the Kuvings Whole Slow Juicer Elite, this one actually has a lot more pronounced ribbing in here that, in my opinion, will probably help to grind up and get that produce ground down a little better. So how you assemble this part is on this one, there's a little red dot here on the top here. It just says open, right? Little red dot right there. So you want to line up that red dot with the red dot on the bowl and put that in place. And then you're going to basically spin this to the closed position. And when you do that, this top housing is going to line up with the back of the machine. And if you do that, then and only then will the juicer turn on, right? If you take this top housing and for some reason you don't line things up, and let's see if we're able to do this, you could put it on backwards, right? And then your machine is never going to turn on because the magnets are not lining up. So the first thing to check if your vertical slow juicer is not turning on is to make sure it's assembled properly and all the parts are in the proper direction. Because if not, it's not going to work. Some of the other parts that you get, of course, are the pusher that you use with the smaller chute here to help push things in. That being said, I believe the pusher should only be used if you actually have produce jammed in there that you're trying to like get pushed in. Generally, I personally believe that the vertical slow juicers are best used by letting gravity feed everything in. Because if you start putting a carrot in, pushing it in there, cramming it in there as fast as you can, to juice as fast as you can, then the machine is going to back up and have problems. So one of the first tips is you want to slow down when juicing. Feed at a slow and steady pace, and you may be rewarded with up to 15% more juice instead of just trying to cram everything in and get everything done. And especially if you have hourly employees, let them know that, hey, take your time, go slow, you're going to get paid more money. All right. So other parts you're going to get, of course, you get actually a nice oversized juice catch cup, which is 48 ounces or 1,400 milliliters. That catches your juice there, nice oversized. And then you actually have a nice oversized pulp catch container, which is kind of nice too. I personally like to use glass collection bowls. I use like an Anchor Hawking 8-cup glass collection bowl or mixing bowl, measuring cup, whatever you want to call it. So that holds like 64 ounces at one time. Now, also what you get, you're going to get the Kuvings Whole Slow Juicer Chef instruction manual here. Let me see. It's definitely all black and white, and they go over all the different parts included, how to assemble the machine, and how to properly juice and how to prepare the fruits and vegetables that you're going to be juicing, and how to take care of it and all this kind of stuff. And then also you get this very nice recipe booklet, right, which is basically designed, I believe, to stand up on your counter here, kind of like that maybe, and then basically you could flip through and see all the recipes. So this is actually quite nice. They have many different sections of this book. So for juice cleansing, juice prevention, juice healthy juice, beauty juice, refresh juice, healing juice, detox juice, cocktail, sorbets, and smoothies. And that reminds me real quick, so when you buy the Kuvings Whole Slow Juicer Chef CS600, it comes set up just like this with the juicing screen, also with the whole extra top set. If you do want to get additional features for the machine, this machine besides juicing can also make sorbets, frozen fruit sorbets, and also it can make low RPM smoothies. But to do that, you're going to have to purchase additional attachments. So let me show you guys those. So these are the two additional attachments that can be purchased separately. I do encourage you guys, if you guys want to get these attachments, to purchase them when you buy your Kuvings Whole Slow Juicer Chef from Discount Juicers. We do have a package deal where you can get both these with the main unit for a lower price than if you bought these items separately. So this one is actually the basically called a blank or the frozen sorbet maker. This allows you to take frozen fruits and put them through the machine. It'll basically grind them up and put out frozen yogurt consistency style frozen fruit sorbet. So, you know, you could be juicing 1 minute, you could have this top set set up with a sorbet maker, you could switch that out, put frozen fruits through there, let them thaw a little bit first, and then you could make frozen fruit sorbets for your customers or for your family. And so that's that. And then next you have the optional smoothie attachment. So the smoothie attachment basically allows you to make low RPM smoothies with your Kuvings Whole Slow Juicer Chef. And so what happens is you put all the ingredients in, it doesn't actually come out, no pulp will come out the ejection port, but the juice will basically come through all the holes of the screen after things are ground up. So it'll do minimal oxidative damage to the smoothies you're making. That being said, if you're in a high capacity, fast-paced juice bar, this is not the attachment you guys want to get to make smoothies. This is more if you're a health-conscious consumer and you don't want all the heavy-duty oxidative damage caused by a blender running at 20,000 RPMs, when you could use your Kuvings Whole Slow Juicer Chef running at 60 RPMs. That'll do much less damage to the phytonutrients and phytochemicals in the vegetables and fruits you're processing. So yeah, both those are available separately. Let's see here. So we got the instruction manual, the recipe book. Oh, and then we finally have the cleaning brushes. So the cleaning brushes are unique. You know, this is the time saver that Kuvings has patented. No other company has this. This allows you to basically take this, you put the standard screen in there, and basically you rotate this back and forth, and it's going to clean the outside of the screen. That being said, the outside of the screen is one area. You still have to clean the inside of the screen. So they give you this oversized toothbrush to kind of get in there and clean the inside of the screen. That being said, due to the shape of the bottom of this screen here, there's a little recess, and due to the shape of the brush here, it doesn't totally go to the bottom. So that's why you have this back end, which is kind of like a screwdriver plastic end that you could actually go ahead and kind of scrape off some of the pulp if they are stuck in the holes. Finally, you have the standard conical brush, and then basically that is used for cleaning out the juice spout here and also the pulp ejection port right here. So I like that they provide you not only one brush like most other manufacturers, but 3 brushes to use to clean your machine. I think the next step I'd like to do is I'd like to go ahead and get out some produce and show you guys actually some of the specific techniques you will need to use when using the Kuvings Whole Slow Juicer Chef. So the next part of this episode is I want to show you guys some of the specific guidelines and instructions you guys must follow to be successful when juicing in the Kuvings Whole Slow Juicer Chef CS600 model. It's very important that both you and your staff, if they will be juicing and you are not, follow these guidelines and set up specific things that your staff must do to properly prepare the produce. Because if you guys have a prep guy that's preparing all the produce and they do this properly, and the juicing people just have the produce to feed in, that's going to make things so much simpler instead of just having like one guy do it all. Also, that's going to save a lot of time, while juicing. And before I get into this, actually, I want to talk about some of the benefits of a slow juicer instead of a high-speed commercial juicer. So unfortunately, most juice bars use the high-speed commercial juicers in their juice bar. They're known as centrifugal ejection machines. And when you use a centrifugal ejection machine, there's pros and cons, right? The pro is that they're super fast, right? And so you could basically make a customer's juice in no time flat. The challenge is that although it's fast, it may not yield that much. Like a slow juicer, and this depends on also what you're specifically juicing, could be a lot more efficient, especially on something like the leafy greens, and especially on something like the fruits, right? Fruits will basically get kicked through a centrifugal ejection juicer, or basically pieces of greens will go through literally without being juiced and not putting that much juice into the in your collection cup or in your customer's cup actually. And so what does that mean? That means you have to use more produce to get the same volume of juice because some of it's not being juiced, so your produce costs are going to be more expensive. That being said, a whole slow juicer tends to be more efficient on certain produce items such as the fruits also the leafy greens, and also, I mean, things like the celery, right? Commercial centrifugal ejection juicers are pretty good with celery, but definitely the slow juicers, in my opinion, gets more juice for sure. So that's number 2, the yield result. Number 3 is the juice quality and juice taste for the customer. This may be something that's not super important to you, in my opinion, but it should be, you know, because here's the thing, right? The way your juice tastes could be the deciding factor if the customer will go to your juice bar or somebody else down the street that has another juice bar. Say your juice bar is using a slow juicer, right? And you could advertise your juice as a cold pressed juice, because literally this is crushing, squeezing, and pressing out the juice. Whereas a high-speed machine, that's not a cold pressed juice, in my opinion, because it's having it at a fast rate that's basically bombarding the juice with oxygen, which basically lowers the nutritional quality, also lowers the ability for that juice to be stored for a period of time. In addition, that juice does not taste as good, right? So if a customer tasted like a slow juice versus a high-speed juice, watermelon for example, and on the watermelon, actually this juicer could produce like, I don't know, 60 quarts of juice an hour, which is amazing. This juicer could juice 300 apples an hour, which is amazing. On standard juices, it produces about 40 quarts an hour, right? That's a lot of juice. So despite being a slow juicer, it can make lots of juice. But nonetheless, if you juice watermelon in a high speed versus a slow juicer, you tasted the difference yourself, or your customers tasted the difference. 9 out of 10, in my opinion, maybe even 10 out of 10 would say the slow juice tastes way better because it doesn't have the extra air, the extra fluff in there, and the nutrients are more intact, which basically nutrients add the flavors to the juice. So you're going to get a much better quality product. And because it hasn't been oxidized in the making of the juice, it can also be stored longer. That being said, check with your local health department. There are rules if you are making and bottling your juices on how long they can be stored and at what temperature they need to be stored at properly. But you know, for the home use, I like to store my juices no more than 24 hours. But they can be stored for up to 3 days. But of course, check with your specific health department. I personally wouldn't be bottling and storing juices made with a high-speed machine because they tend to degrade faster. And that's pretty much it. And so another thing about the slow juicers that I like about is that they're a lot more quiet, right? The high-speed machines, they could sound like an airplane taking off in your restaurant, juice bar, or cafe. And these guys, let me turn this on for you to listen, so you guys can listen. You know, this is a nice and low, mild, you know, low decibel hum. So it's not going to really interrupt people having conversations and staff trying to talk to people with this high-speed machine that's making lots of noise. I mean, that's pretty much, I think, some of the basics for me. Also, the other thing with the high-speed machines, right, because they're high-speed, because they're working on a more cutting system, they have blades that either need to be sharpened or worse, need to be replaced every so often to keep your yields as high as possible. If you don't replace your blades in your centrifugal ejection machine, you know, the machine is not going to cut and shred and make the juice easily. It's going to basically just mush things up, and it's not going to create as much juice, so now your profits are going to go down, and now you got to buy this expensive blade or get it resharpened. Can cost like $100 in some cases to get that sharpened. With the whole slow juicer chef, right, there's no, you know, sharp blades that will ever wear out. There's an auger in there that basically crushes and squeezes the produce, much like an old-fashioned meat grinder in the olden days. You never have to sharpen those guys. It's not even like a knife, right? This will just work forever without any kind of sharpening. So that's another reason why, in my opinion, you should go with a whole slow juicer. And probably the biggest thing for me is just, you know, to provide your customer a better product. And I mean, hopefully that's why you're in business. That's why I'm in business. I'm in business to make sure that the juicer companies stay up to date and make the best quality and best products for people so that I could offer them, so I could provide people better solutions and allow them to make better juices, including you guys. So hopefully you guys would also see that as a big part of your business, because, you know, the more you can serve the customer, providing them better quality juice, providing them better tasting juice, the more they will come back to your establishment instead of others. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So I think next I want to get into actually the usage guidelines, which are super critical, super important. You must follow these to be successful with this machine or any other machine. If you want to get even more technical than what I'm going to get into now, I would encourage you guys to check the link down below. Is Juice Like a Pro in Any Vertical Slow Juicer. That's a video I made using household juicers, but all those same rules apply when using the commercial whole slow juicer chef. Anyways, what I want to get into are the bare minimum things you guys need to do to be successful, all right? So first thing is, slow down. Go at a slow and steady pace. As I said before, this can increase your yield up to 15% more, by just slowing down. So putting one apple in instead of just, okay, put the next one in right after it. Let that one process before you put the next apple in. That's going to definitely save you guys time, headaches, and extract more yields. Number 2, be sure to use only one top set per recipe. So say you're making like apple carrot juice for one customer, right? And then the next customer wants, a pineapple orange juice, right? You're going to juice one recipe in this top set, right? And then you're going to have the other top set standing by. You're going to take this whole top set off. Comes off nice and easy. Just take that off for one customer. When you're doing the next recipe, put the new top set on. This way you don't get cross-contamination between recipes. Also, this is because some recipes may tend to clog the top set up, and if you start with a new top set, you're going to have an easy experience and the best experience. And I do encourage you guys to actually make your recipes on demand. And this may, depending on how busy your juice bar is, you may have to get several machines with several top sets. You could have 3 different Kuvings whole slow juicer elites sitting there, and you have 3 extra top sets for each one, so that one customer service person can be making a juice in one is making a juice in the other. And the best thing to do actually would be have one juicer per recipe. So if you only have a limited amount of recipes, you could have one juicer per recipe, right? And then the other reason why you're going to want to switch out the top set is after a certain period of time. So besides changing out the top set every different recipe change, after 20 minutes of use, so maybe even have a timer next to the juicer, and after the 20-minute use goes off, ding, 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 right, then you take the top set off, however it is, and then you put on a whole new cleaned and ready to go top set on the machine. This is super important, super critical. If you run a top set for too long, you may end up jamming, clogging it up, and which is just going to cause problems. So that's why we provide you guys with an extra top set, so that you guys could be most fast and efficient for your guys' customers. The next thing, number 3, you're going to have to do is change out the top set after you juice 2 quarts of juice. So 2 liters, 2 quarts, about the same thing. Once you juice 2 quarts, which would be, that's why I like to use this collection cup right here. It's an Anchor Hawking glass collection cup. This is 2 quarts. So once you fill this whole thing up, right, that's your sign to say, or 20 minutes, whatever comes first. That's your sign to take off this top set and put a new top set on. So you ensure that you're going to have a good juicing experience for you and your customers with minimal clogging. Although this is a commercial unit, this juicer can clog like any other vertical slow juicer. So it's important to basically do what I just told you and follow that to the T, but more importantly, follow this next part to the T as well. The next tip, very important, I want you guys to do is to rotate the produce. So if you're making a recipe just with apples and carrots, don't just put all the apples in and then put all the carrots in to make the 16-ounce juice. What you want to do is you want to put 1 apple in, then you want to put 1 carrot in, 1 apple, 1 carrot. Always by rotating the produce you're putting through the machine is going to work a lot better, because some produce items tend to push pulp through out the ejection port better than others. So in the case of a apple carrot recipe, the carrots are going to tend to push the pulp through more effectively than the softer apple. And that's why I encourage you guys, especially if you're going to be using a slow juicer, is to tailor some of your recipes around the produce items that are, number 1, lower in cost, so that you can make more money, but number 2, that have a good fiber content that are actually going to push the produce through the machine to prevent jamming and clogging for your staff and prevent hassle and delays getting your juices to your customers. So some of the things that do that, of course, carrots. They're probably one of the cheapest, easily juiced vegetables out there. I like to only juice organic carrots, but non-organic carrots are super cheap. I mean, depending on where you shop and where you get them, 25-pound bag of carrots could cost $5. Costco is a good source for organic carrots. I've seen they're cheaper actually than the produce distributor, but they're like 10 pounds for $5.50, around 50-60 cents a pound depending on where you live. Another thing that's really good to kind of help produce go through the machine is the celery. We'll be talking about in a minute. That's fairly inexpensive. Also, other mild root vegetables. So jicama, depending on where you are in the country, you could get it for super cheap. Now jicama should be peeled before juicing, but that will actually add nice water content, actually add really good prebiotic content to your juices, and add a nice neutral flavor, and also help push things through the juicer. And jicamas are actually quite watery as well, so that's going to save you guys some produce cost and allow the juicer to work better. And also, you know, most places unfortunately don't juice the jicama. It has a really amazing flavor. Rotate the produce you guys are putting through the machine. Next, I want to get into actually some of the juicing and some of the techniques that you must use when juicing certain produce items. So, of course, the first thing we're going to juice are things like apples and whole fruits. These are what's the easiest to juice and is going to save you guys the most time when juicing in a whole slow juicer that has the wide feed chute. So, for example, if you're using if you're just using a vertical slow juicer with a standard feed chute, you know, you're going to save about, depending on how much you're juicing, but twice as much time. So juicing apples in this machine versus a smaller feed chute machine, you're saving, you know, literally half the time. Now, when juicing whole fruits, some fruits, you know, you will want to remove, number one, the produce stickers. Very important. Produce stickers can clog up the machine, so make sure those are totally removed from the items you're juicing. Also, I like to remove the little nub. So here's like a little nub off the lemon. We're going to go ahead and take that off. Lemons and limes can be juiced with the skin and rind and all. Oranges and grapefruits and tangerines should be basically, the skin should be peeled off, or at least the coloring of the skin peeled off, so they should be properly prepared. But the cool thing is you can just basically take this whole fruit and dump it in, and you're just going to go ahead and let the machine process that. I like to open up the housing here. And on apples, you could juice the whole apples, no problem, but you should be removing the little stems here. The stems can clog up in the juicer, so we're just going to go ahead and twist off the stem, and then you can just drop that apple in, right? And now we got the next apple here, and once again we're slowing down. We're going to let that apple fully process and fully get juiced, and we're going to remove the next stem until we put that one in. Now that this one's pretty much done, we're going to just put that in there. You never want to have a backup or a jamming in the feed chute. So yeah, apples, super simple, super easy to juice. Next we're going to get into juicing something like the carrots. So the carrots, if they're a thin diameter, right, this diameter here is less than an inch, they can be put in to the machine. So the bottom half of this carrot is no problem. We're going to go ahead and just chop off the ends. You know, this is a small diameter carrot. We're just going to go ahead and drop that in really simply. Now, if you do have a 1 inch wide diameter carrot, super critical, super important. I always like to chop off the ends of the carrots here. You're going to go ahead and take a knife and you're going to just go ahead and chop that carrot in half. So you have a, you know, it's not that 1 inch diameter. You know, wide, thick diameters may clog up and jam the juicer. So once you have it just cut in half, simply and easily, you can drop that in. Once again, we're waiting for that first carrot to basically get processed before we put the second one in. The second carrot here, once again, same thing. We're going to go ahead and cut off the bottom half that's rather thin. Drop that in. Top half, once again, it's kind of thick, so we're just going to go ahead and chop this in half. And once again, drop it in. This is working beautifully. The pulp is coming out really nice. We're getting lots of juice coming out here. Next are other root vegetables. So, you know, things like beets, like the jicama I talked about. Even though this beet will fit in this feed chute, you should not feed the whole beets into the juicer. They must be cut. They are too hard to be fed in whole. So we're just going to go ahead and cut off the bottom. We're going to go ahead and cut off this top part here. And then we're just going to go ahead and chop this into some pieces, right? So I like to chop a beet into like 6 pieces so they could easily fit into the feed chute and get dropped in. And so now we can just drop in that beet. Once again, you can hear it work. We're going to let that beet process and work a little bit before jumping in the next piece. And the next piece. And the next piece. Yeah, beets are another root vegetable that are actually quite inexpensive. That being said, you know, I do know people, including me, that have gotten sick drinking high volumes of beet juice. You know, I know some athletes may want to like straight beet juice, and you can make that on a special order, but I wouldn't personally include beets in any large percentage, more than 25% of a juice on the menu personally. So yeah, we just use one whole beet. Let's see here. So aside from the root vegetables, another thing that's going to be really popular to juice is celery. I do like juicing celery. Now it's very important to properly prepare celery as well as other leafy green vegetables such as this. If you don't have baby greens like baby spinach, spring mix, baby arugula, that's, you know, like nice and small, you can just basically put that into the feed chute, juice it on up. But any kind of you know, leafy green vegetable that's a leaf that has a stalk. I mean, look at this nice stalk on this tree collar that I grew in my backyard, right? This needs to be pre-cut, right? Kuvings recommends minimum like a 1-inch piece, so you can just take your knife and cut it up. I prefer to do like 1/2-inch pieces, or even 1/8-inch pieces would be best. You know, the smaller the better. To save time, you guys could get something like a food processor attachment to basically run this through a food processor to pre-prep it and have it ready to get juiced instead of having to cut it up each and every time. But this is super important. If you do not cut your celery, this will jam up and clog the juicer, which is not so good. And in addition, you know, same thing with these leafy greens. So once you chop up the celery, no problem. You can basically just put this in the feed chute here, dunk that down, and it's going to juice it on up quickly and easily. Doing an amazing job juicing the celery here. As you guys can see, I mean, this is going pretty quick. We got already like 1/2 quart of juice here. We didn't really even juice that much stuff. Alright, here's the last of the celery going right in the machine. Alright, so with leafy greens such as kale and collards, kale's all the rage these days. Kale should be pre-cut unless you're using baby kale that could just be put in the machine. Once again, you know, cut it into minimum 1-inch pieces. You know, smaller the better. Once again, I like to do like 1/8-inch pieces. So I just come down and cut this all the way down. And once again, the smaller the better, but you know, minimum 1 inch. And it's very important to rotate the produce, so don't just juice all the kale, right? I always encourage you guys, if you guys have like kale or greens in a juice recipe, you know, have a lot of also carrots or celery to balance it out. You know, a lot of customers don't like the hardcore taste of leafy greens, and they want to juice that tastes good. So literally, leafy greens is going to be a small component of most of your recipes, just enough to get it in there to have it on the menu. Because most people are not super hardcore, right? So once again, once we got this chopped up, we can easily just put it in this little spout here, dunk that down. Super simple, super easy. The spout really makes things easy. This trap door, we'll call it. Alright, yeah, automatically working. As you guys can see, I'm not even using that pusher. Everything's just feeding automatically. And I do have to say that, you know, this machine over the previous generation, you know, works significantly better with actually things getting actually into the juicer and actually not backing up in this this top auger area. Alright, next I want to show you guys how to juice fruits with pits. This is very important. If somebody in your staff juices a fruit with a pit and just puts it in whole, even though it can fit, it's going to damage the machine. This will not be covered under warranty, and it's going to cost you at least $100 plus to get this situation corrected, because you will do damage to the machine. So it's very important to remove pits from things like plums, peaches, nectarines, cherries, mangoes, right? So we're just going to go ahead and cut this in half, and we're going to take out all of the pit fragments and the whole pit inside here. And this pit is actually splintered up into pieces inside this fruit here. And so we're just taking out all the little chunks here, make sure we got all of them. There's some still sticking here in the bottom. And once you do that, then you can just take the whole fruit and drop it in the machine. And once again, super simple, super easy. We're going to go ahead and wait for half of it to get processed before we dunk in that other half. Alright? Very critical. Next thing is juicing pineapple. Pineapple is an amazing fruit to be juicing. It can definitely make your green juices taste really good. One of my favorite recipes is like just literally kale and pineapple. Also add maybe some celery in there too. This also must be processed and prepared properly along with other fruits with hard rinds. So the pineapple has a hard rind. Basically what I like to do is I like to spin off the top, number one, and get rid of that top. Number two, we're just going to go ahead and I like to cut off the top. And then the bottom. And then what I'll do is I'll take the knife and we got to cut off the rind. So we're just basically going to cut off the rind one side at a time. Once again, I think having all this produce pre-prepped could save lots of time when juicing in a commercial establishment. Next thing is we're going to go ahead and cut the pineapple off the core. Very important, right? You will not be juicing the core. The core is too hard to juice. So we're just basically cutting all the pieces around the core, and we're cutting this into spears, maybe like about 6 different spears. Once again, you know, I'm going to save that rind piece in the middle for something else. You should not be juicing it, but once you have all the core pieces, basically you can just drop that in the machine and it's going to get juiced right up, simply and easily. So far I'm really impressed with Kuvings Whole Slow Juicer Chef. Everything I've thrown in there, right, it juiced on up, no clogging or jamming whatsoever. The pulp is still flowing out. Alright, so yeah, those are the very critical, important tips for usage to make sure you properly prepare the produce and feed it properly. As you guys can see, I had a great time juicing. You know, everything worked well. Let's go ahead and check out this pulp for you guys here. So this pulp here, the pineapple pulp here, I'll take it and I'll squeeze it. I mean, pretty much I'm squeezing the pulp through my fingers. You see a few drops. Actually, that's quite impressive. This machine did quite a good job. I mean, on the celery over here, we could find some celery pulp. I mean, this pulp is actually quite dry. I can't even squeeze barely one drop out of the celery pulp. Let's see, let's find the carrot pulp here. Well, the carrot pulp's kind of mixed in with the apple and lemon pulp down here. But let's just go ahead and grab a bunch of this pulp at once, right? Including the beets. Squeeze this out. Wow, that's kind of impressive. I mean, I'm squeezing some juice out, but you know, for a commercial slow juice, I'm actually quite impressed. This is actually quite a high yield, maybe even higher than their home model, which I think the pulp would be maybe a little bit wetter, but I'll be testing that soon enough when I do a side-by-side comparison test between the commercial and their household model. Next thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and get this guy cleaned up, and we're going to come back at you, and we're going to juice a standard apple carrot juice to show you guys how it works. So the last part of this episode is I want to show you guys actually how to make a juice recipe with pre-prepared produce to show you guys actually how fast you could make 32 ounces or a quart of juice in the Kuvings Whole Slow Juicer Chef CS600. Actually, so far so good. I'm quite impressed with the CS600. I think I'm probably going to sell my C7000 and then keep this guy right here just because it's so powerful. I haven't been able to stop the motor up yet. But what we're going to juice now for you guys, actually a standard recipe I like a lot, is basically just a carrot, apple, ginger, lemon juice, right? Another really good recipe to have at your juice bar cafe or even enjoy for your family. So I have about 4 pounds, 2 ounces of produce here. And in general, approximately 1 pound of produce equals 1 cup or 8 ounces of juice. So this should produce about 32 ounces of juice. And what I thought I'd do is we're going to go ahead and time this to show you guys actually how long it takes in a slow juicer, going at an even, slow, and moderate pace. It's very important. Don't just like, I got to cram this stuff in as fast as I can through the juicer. You got to slow down, guys. This is a slow juicer. I'm going to go at a slow and moderate pace as quickly as I'm able, but without overclogging and over jamming the machine. And then also what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and strain out the pulp so you guys can see how much pulp is generated with this machine. Basically, I strained out the previous juice I made, and I was actually quite impressed with how little pulp there was. In my opinion, this model produces less pulp than the Kuvings Whole Slow Juicer Elite C7000, but you know, don't take my word for it until I test it side by side, because I will learn for sure at that point. So we're going to see the pulp and then see how long it takes, and then I'm going to go ahead and also get to taste the juice for you guys. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get juicing. So we're going to go ahead and hit the start button, turn this machine on and start juicing. Always juice something like an apple first. We're going to go ahead and dump that apple in there. On the ginger, you will want to cut the ginger into smaller pieces. We'll let that apple feed in there. Got sucked in pretty good. We're going to go ahead and now feed that ginger in. We're going to take our carrot, and all these carrots are less than 1 inch in diameter, so that's really nice. As you guys can see, the apple pulp's coming out really nice. Throw in another piece of ginger. Throw in another piece of carrot there. We're going to go ahead and let that carrot get processed here. We're going to drop in another apple there. Let that apple get processed before we drop in that next carrot. Looks like it's gone. We're going to now dump in that whole lemon, once again, skin and all. Dump in a couple pieces of the ginger there. Another carrot here. So far, so good. It looks like we're almost at almost 16 ounces of juice. Looks like we're at about a minute. So a minute for 16 ounces. I could maybe speed it up a little bit. Let's actually just wait and see until we got 16 ounces here. Apple's going to throw us over the top there. Alright, I think officially we're at 16 ounces now, so it's about a minute and 21 seconds depending on what you're juicing. Like watermelon's probably going to go a little bit quicker than this. I'm waiting to drop each carrot in until that other carrot is pretty much fully disappeared. You want to let the machine process everything first before putting in the next item. You don't want to get a backlog of stuff in the feed chute that's really bad. That carrot got processed. We're going to go ahead and dump in another apple. Looks like we're at about 3 cups so far, maybe like 24 ounces of juice. Well on our way to 32 ounces. So far, so good. Last piece of ginger going in. Let's see, go ahead and next carrot. Nice large carrot. You know, some of these carrots are pushing the 1 inch diameter, but once again, I haven't been able to stop up this machine. This has to be the most powerful motor on any vertical slow juicer I've seen. And once again, we're going to go ahead and put an apple in, and I always want to encourage you guys to end up with a carrot or some other hard vegetable. That's going to always do the best for you guys. Alright, we're just about at 4 cups of juice. Just a little bit into the line. I think this last carrot will get us there. And other thing I want to mention is we got that last carrot in. It's 3 minutes now. And the other thing is, once you put that last produce piece in there, you don't want to just shut off the juicer immediately. If juice is still coming out of the spout and pulp is still ejecting out of the pulp ejection spout, you then want to let it run a little bit more. Pretty much now the pulp is just about stopped flowing. We're pretty much only got a few drips left. I think we're pretty much done. Let's go ahead and turn that off. So it took about 3 minutes 27 seconds to make the juice there. So that's probably maybe, as you know, that's probably about right on par. A minute and 21 for 16 ounces of juice, which would be a standard serving size. Plus, the other thing you want to remember about serving sizes is that, you know, if you're serving 16 ounces of juice, you're also filling some ice up in there. So you're really probably serving maybe 12, 13 ounces of juice. So let's go ahead and check out what we got here. We're going to go ahead and close this spout cap. So we're going to prevent drips. It's really nice. Next, we have a whole bunch of juice still left in the strainer, so we're just going to go ahead and shake this out. Let all the juice get in to the pitcher there, and all the pulp that is larger than this diameter strainer will stay in the strainer. Alright, so as you guys can see, there's the pulp that is left. If I shook it more, I'd probably get some of that pulp actually into the juice. But so far, this looks really good. Like, that's a pretty low volume of pulp in my opinion. Yeah, it looks like we got, actually, I think we got over 4 cups of juice there. I guess the next step is I want to go ahead and try that juice there. Look at that nice consistency. Alright, this is going to be one delicious juice. I've been waiting all day for this. Alright. I could really feel the ginger, man. Lights my mouth up. Now I did use a wider sieve there on the strainer. Sometimes I'll use a smaller sieve, but there is some pulp in the juice, so be aware that the pulp was small enough to get through this size sieve here. It's not objectionable by any means. Kind of like it. Gives the juice a little bit of body there. It's quite a good juice. I'm going to enjoy more of this off camera for you guys. But yeah, that's pretty much... Oh, I got the other thing I want to show you guys actually before I go. I want to show you guys how easy it is to clean, right? Super simple, super easy. This is an auto cleaning juicer, and I want you guys to use the auto cleaning feature each and every time you use your vertical slow juicer that has a pulp flap. Super simple. So what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and turn the machine on, make sure it's running, make sure your pulp flap there, it's called the smart cap on the Kuvings, is closed. Then we're just going to go ahead and I'm taking about 600 milliliters of water and just pouring it in the machine ever so slowly. And as you guys can see, the 600 milliliters pretty much filled up this whole pitcher there. And this is why I like the smart cap, not to mix your juices inside, but to do the auto cleaning feature. So I don't know if you guys can see inside there, but inside there now it's basically all like orange. I mean, it's not deep orange like the juice, because basically it's some of the orange residual stuff. Because you put the water in there, it helped kick out some of the extra pulp that was sitting in there. The juicer is literally turning around, spinning around, agitating all that water, and basically cleaning itself for you guys, so you guys don't have to clean it as much. Next thing, we're going to go ahead and keep the juicer running. We're going to go ahead and open that spout cap and watch all that juice pour out there, or the cleaning water. Then I like to tip this up a little bit to make sure we got the majority of the water out there. Then we could go ahead and turn that machine off, and now we could take it apart. So this machine is very simple and easy to disassemble. Just take this top part and squeeze that over to open, and we could show you guys inside this top housing there. You have a little bit of residual pulp that you'll need to clean off there. It's not so bad at all whatsoever. Going to go ahead and set that to the side there. Next, we're going to go ahead and pull out that heavy-duty GE Ultim auger there, and look at that auger. Auger, fairly clean. It's got a little bit of pulp at the bottom, but for the most part it's pretty clean. Now I do want to let you guys know, when you juice like orange carrots, you're going to get some kind of like staining. It kind of looks like a little sheen on the auger. Don't be concerned, that's fully cosmetic and not going to affect the performance of the machine. If you do want to get that off after you're done juicing, you know, whether that's 2 quarts of juice or after 20 minutes, whatever comes first, you're going to want to take a little soap and water on a dish brush and brush this off. It'll clean right up. Underneath the auger there, you guys can see there's a little bit of pulp left. So I like to just get my finger in there and scoop that in to the pulp collection bin. Super simple, super easy. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take out the juicing screen. So there's a juicing screen. There's not a whole lot of pulp buildup, although with every vertical slow juicer you will have to be scrubbing the screen. Now the nice thing is all the pulp is contained inside the middle of the screen, that then you could just basically tap out into the bowl there. And I would encourage you guys to compost all the pulp, or find some place that you could give it to that has worms. Worms eat the juice pulp. And we'll have to clean this off with a brush. You could use that special cleaning brushes to clean the outside. Then you can use a smaller toothbrush size brush on the inside to get that clean. Then of course the wiping blade is just about completely clean. You know, washing this under some running water, brushing it off a little bit. That'll take that really clean. And then finally we have the main bowl there. Look how clean that bowl is. I mean, there's a little bit of pulp in the bottom of that, but for the most part it's all pretty clean there. And of course there's some pulp in the pulp outlet here that will just you know, use my finger and kind of get that out. But yeah, this is a super simple, super easy to clean juicer. I mean, I expect this juicer to take me no more than 4 minutes to clean. I mean, the whole base is clean. There's no you know, juice residuals on the bottom of the motor base. So yeah, super simple, super easy to clean. Let's go ahead and check out the pulp here. Once again, I juiced about 4 pounds, 2 ounces, made over 4 cups or 1 quart. And we're just going to go ahead and take some of this pulp randomly and squeeze. Alright, so on this pulp, because we got a carrot and apple mixture, you guys can see I am able to squeeze some juice out of there. But not so much, so I think that's definitely an acceptable rate. I really can't wait to test the Kuvings Whole Slow Juicer Chef CS600 against some of the other Kuvings and other brands of household machines. That being said, if you guys are looking for a commercial slow juicer and you don't need the NSF requirement, I would definitely recommend this machine for you. You know, I like the slow juicers way more than the high-speed centrifugal ejection juicers because it produces you know, higher yields. You're going to save money on your produce costs. It's also quieter, and also because you have a higher quality juice, it's going to differentiate you from some of your competitors that still are using the old-fashioned high-speed technology. Yeah, so that's pretty much, I think, this episode. I would recommend this for people that have a commercial establishment that need to juice for long periods of time. This is definitely a heavy-duty juicer for you. Also for people with large families, you know, that want to be able to juice large volume of juice. But remember, you know, you still got to follow some of the rules that I laid out a little bit earlier in guidelines about, you know, switching out the tops after 2 quarts or 20 minutes and following all the procedures properly so you get the best results. Because even a commercial juicer, as good as it is because it's commercial grade, doesn't mean you could abuse it, doesn't mean you don't have to cut your leafy greens and celery and you can just start cramming stuff in there. You need to take your time. These are slow juicers. And when you use it properly, it's going to work and be amazing for you, as you guys have seen in this episode today. If you guys are interested in purchasing this Kuvings Whole Slow Juicer Chef, please be sure to click that link down below. For a limited time, we do have a promotion on the Kuvings Whole Slow Juicer Chef. Hopefully that'll still be on. When you click that link below, you'll see the special price once you add the juicer to the shopping cart. And yeah, I would appreciate if you guys support me so I can continue to make these educational videos for you guys, showing you guys all the ins and outs, the pros and cons about all the different juicers and vacuum blenders and dehydrators on the market and other appliances that allow you to eat more fresh fruits and vegetables because they are the best. Alright, so with that, my name is John Kohler with DiscountJuicers.com. Be sure to visit DiscountJuicers.com/YouTube for special promotional offers for our YouTube visitors.